So, hello everyone to the Fluminense podcast. Today I'm here with Jonathan Geffner and the cast of season 2 of Trillo and Suede. Thanks for being here.
A little correction, Adam. Jonathan Geffner is not here. He's a fictitious character. This is Trillo over here. And he's Suede. And there's a mistake in the screen there. I see it also, but I don't know how to correct it. We are not so good with the technical stuff here, so I guess he was using our computer. Yeah, I mean, Suede says he's fictitious. It's debatable whether he's real or not. There is a character who calls himself Jonathan Geffner. We're not sure his true identity. All we know is he's a fan, and he's a deranged fan. He thinks that he writes the scripts for us. He thinks that he even created our characters. He's basically a nut job.
Sounds
Look,
like it.
we don't mind him hanging around, whoever this character is. He's right over here now. He does some work for us. And they ask, why do we have him around when he's a nut job? Because he does it for free. Doesn't charge us. We could use all the help we can get with clerical stuff, publicity, promotion, stuff like that. So this guy goes by the name Jonathan. He even started the Trillo and Suede group on Facebook. So he is very helpful. So far, no harm, no foul. So, we let him hang around, let him have his delusions.
That's really good to hear.
Yeah, but it's fun to be back with a bunch of the cast members from season 2. And I recognize them all. They've got the wrong names there also. Yeah, I think they're playing a role here. They're playing a role. Like Christopher is Chris Torm, Goose. He's really Goose.
Goose.
Yeah, but he's playing a role here. He's a different character called Christopher Torm. Mark, Rabbi Lustig, of course, is his real name. Yeah, and he's doing a character called Mark Brothers here. Gregory Levine. Oh, that's Big Boychik. Can't miss him. Big Boychik, of course. A very terrifying gangster leader from Chicago. Spends a lot of time in New York.
The name Big Boychik was redacted by the FBI.
Is that what happened? Well,
allegedly.
I think I'll understand what happened once I look up the word redacted. Mrs. Lustig. Yeah. Okay. Oh, there she goes. Yeah, Mrs. Lustig. Of course, that's who she really is. She goes by the name Josephine, apparently. Then we got Joe Rashbaum. Well, of course, that's using an alias to cover 2 names. Why don't you introduce yourself in the? Not the character here. I mean in the series as you appear. Remind everybody. Of course.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I'm a Gemini. I was born in June, so us Geminis, we always have at least 2 identities, and the first one of which was John Elwood, because I'm this big TV psychic, and I can tell everything about you, Adam Dinsley, right from across the pond. It's really, really true. But the other thing is that I grew up in Brooklyn, so to be honest with you, sometimes you got to act like a tougher guy than you really are. Yeah. And for that, we actually have to play Bishop, the very stereotypically Guido bouncer at the Last Exit nightclub. Yeah, but I got to point out that I really think your true identity underneath it all is the bouncer.
Bishop. Yeah, because we settled that in episode 2 of season 2. We exposed him, Adam. He's a phony.
Oh, okay.
Psychic. Yeah, calls himself a psychic. Some kind of psychic. So we exposed him. Well, whoever he is, he's a fun guy to hang around anyway. So nice to see you here. And then we got
everybody's got to make a living.
Yeah, well, ain't that the truth? And then Robert Alloy is the pseudonym. We know who he really is. Yeah, Triple Rabbi.
Well, you got it right for once.
And nice to see you back here. Well, I wanted to see who's going to show up today, say hello, but we got to get going because we have an important meeting with a client.
Yeah, we do have to see a client. We couldn't, this is kind of an urgent case. We'll reveal what this case is about probably in season 3 coming up. If we're able to shoot it, we just started our crowdfunding campaign today.
So we'll see about that. First, in real life, we got to meet the client, and we cannot be late for this meeting.
No, it's important that we show up.
Yeah, and not be late because she's a looker. Okay, so we'll see you later.
I think in the meantime, this guy Jonathan, if he's still hanging around here, we'll tell him he could come say hello to you, because it would mean a lot to him, because it makes him feel like he's actually part of this. Okay, so nice to see everybody, and we'll catch up with you later.
To see you, boss.
So long. See you later.
See you later.
Gentlemen, my best.
Oh, that Suede, he has such a roving eye. He's always looking after the girls.
So would you lot like to go around, introduce your name and what you do? That's why Jonathan's off screen.
Sure. I'll start if no one else, if anyone
Yeah,
minds.
yeah, sure, yeah.
I'm Gregory Levine, thespian of some repute, do character comedy in cabarets, and have a bunch of artists and reprehensible criminals all over my bloodline. So I thought this was a neat way to merge little tribute to my ancestry. Saw the casting posts for this, looked at the web series, and thought I have to be in it. This is destiny. Blackmail,
Awesome.
bribery, whatever it takes.
That's really cool to hear. Christopher?
Yeah, Chris Torrum. So AKA Goose. I live in Rhode Island. I'm actually a school psychologist, and I used to be an adjunct professor at the local college. But I rekindled my acting career after I was very sick. I was in ICU, and I have Crohn's disease, and I was about a 50-50 shot of living. Think of me with 80 pounds less on me.
Okay.
So I'm looking at Law and Order, and I said, yeah, I could do that if I could just get back to one thing. And so one thing led to another, and I've really enjoyed it. A funny story about when I did the audition, I was 5 hours late because of traffic, and I, miscalculated, and there was an accident and whatnot. I park in a school zone illegally. I run up because I didn't want to pull a no-show.
Yeah.
I step in mud up until my knees. I walk in, read the script once, did 2 takes, and that was in season 1.
Okay.
They said that, yeah, this is the part that they wanted, and for me, and I was really honored. And then they brought me back in a little bit of an expanded role in season 2, and it was absolutely great people to work with. The one thing I remember is, like, when you're working with the other actors, they made it so easy to just do your character,
yeah,
which is not always the case. Family atmosphere as well.
Awesome, that's really cool to hear. I'm glad.
Great team.
Josephine, would you like to go next?
Sure. Josephine Pasino here. I play Mrs. Lustig in season 2. I'm hoping to do some more. Jonathan.
I'm working on it.
I'm currently also working with Rising Sun Performance Company, and we have a live Zoom show coming up March 13th and 14th, Rites of Spring. I also do murder mysteries via Zoom that are shown in colleges across the US and in the UK.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I've been keeping busy, surprisingly busy during this weird virtual living space thing that we're all in.
Nice, that's good to hear. Robert, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Robert Alloy. I play Rabbi. Try saying that 5 times fast. Born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and still living there. I'm just your average quirky character actor. Been doing this now for over 10 years with some little sporadic breaks in between just to avoid burnout. But I've pretty much done it all, from just like ancient Greek tragedy comedy to like Shakespeare and absurdist theater, to just all the way to contemporary comedy and dramas, the 20th century. And my main focus for a long while was theater, and I just made the jump to film as of 2 or 3 years ago, just to pursue it more seriously. And here I am, and I just happened to come across this, audition for it, and I knew right away that I was such a right fit for this part that I thought that it would have been almost criminal for me not to get this. But I'm very, very grateful, and such a great team, very family-oriented atmosphere, and I couldn't be with better people, to be honest. So I'm blessed.
That's one. That's really cool to hear.
I
Mark?
had the scene with Robert, and he just made it so easy to do my role. I remember practicing, and obviously there's a little bit of anxiety with no matter how many times you do it, and he just made it so easy. I was an honor to work with him. I wish I worked.
Thank you. Likewise.
Mark, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Mark Lovers. I was honored to be in episode 1 of season 2 as Rabbi Schmutzig Pupik. I'm coming to you from Pennsylvania by way of Long Island, New York. My upbringing. Two things. I have a plug because I have another web series coming out in the next week or so called The Drive-Through Therapist. That's easy enough to find, and that'll be fun. And the other thing is I have a funny audition story as well. I was so uptight about not getting on the show that I didn't want to reschedule my initial Zoom interview. The callbacks were live, but if the first thing was on the Zoom.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to tell Jonathan and Kat that I was on vacation with my family on the beach. So here I was, sunburnt and salt smelling, trying to get myself into the New York City rabbi state of mind, doing this audition. And luckily it panned out.
That's really good to hear. Nice. Joe, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, thanks for the opportunity. Now, this was great, the opportunity to work on Trillo and Suede. I'm actually, my background actually is in radio, so I've enjoyed encouraging performances from the opposite side of the thing as a producer. I've been blessed with the opportunity to work with a number of celebrities and DJs over the course of producing radio ads in my career, and had transitioned to acting about 3 years ago. But before that, I did a lot of non-scripted things. I've been lucky enough to be cast in 6 game shows for being a quirky Jewish guy from Brooklyn, and was lucky enough to be on one of the earlier seasons of The Amazing Race, season 6 of The Amazing Race back in the day. And they actually cast me in part because I vowed to keep kosher on the race. So anytime you can get like Jewish themed projects, you don't see those every day on backstage. So, so it was a really, really great natural fit to do. And, Jonathan, it was a real, those were fun characters. I love doing celebrity impressions, and it was fun doing the John Elwood based on John Edwards, who a very good friend of mine actually worked with. He was his cameraman for a number of years, so I was able to get a lot of insight. And growing up in Brooklyn, that makes you an expert on Guidos, if nothing else,
Oh.
So that's going to be trippy. And a little plug. I was blessed to be last Friday. I was in the #2 trending video in all of YouTube. I was lucky enough to be cast in Zack Snyder's upcoming Army of the Dead, Netflix's first big budget action popcorn franchise. And you can very clearly see me in the trailer. You're looking at, wait for this, Zombie Elvis.
Wow, that's amazing.
Love it.
Zombie Elvis.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Last but not least, before we go on to Jonathan, Dave Polgar.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Dave. You want to introduce yourself?
Sorry, I'm late to the party. So I guess we're just introducing ourselves.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I'm Dave Polgar. I played Schlep in season 1, and then Schlep, Stois, Still. Am I missing anything, Jonathan? In season 2. Schlug. Schlug. Yes.
Aliases of the same character.
Exactly. Yeah. And really, I mean, I don't remember exactly how I, submitted. It was probably Casting Networks or Actors Access for the role. And when I got the sides, I immediately started thinking of like vaudeville. And I've been fortunate enough. I overheard someone say that they've been doing murder mysteries I'm actually working with a theater company that we've actually been doing shows in person. It's very small crowds, obviously, like private residences, but we've been fortunate enough to do live shows, and all we do is vaudeville. It's just, you think of the classics, Abbott and Costello, Laurel and Hardy. I mean, that's what Riddles Brood Theater Company does. And when Jonathan sent me the sides, I was like, this is right up my alley. And meeting Jonathan and then seeing him work, obviously getting into his, Trillo and Suede, it's just, obviously it's taken years. I'm sure you can attest to this, Jonathan, but just how on he is and just the timing. And you don't see that a lot with like the ventriloquist that you see. It's usually like, at least what I've seen is that the puppeteer, and I apologize, Jonathan, and to all of those ventriloquists, if I use a term that is uncouth or in bad taste, it's because of my ignorance. So the puppeteer, what do you call yourselves, Jonathan?
Well, you mean other than ventriloquist or just ventriloquist?
Okay, there it is. So the ones that I've seen, it's usually the puppet is the clown. I think, and again, just the way I see Jonathan do it, he is the clown. And again, just working with him and being able to spit, riffing, obviously sticking to the script, but having that liberty, so to speak, to just play around with the characters and just playing off of him and everyone else that I've worked with. I mean, Chris, we worked together in season 1, but all of the actors that I got a chance to work with, even more so on season 2. It's been a blast.
Nice, it's really cool to hear. Awesome. And last but not least, obviously the creator, Jonathan.
Yes. Well, where should I begin? I don't want to take away. I want to give opportunities for more discussion and or reactions from everybody here. So, what would you most like to know, Adam?
I'd like to know everyone's favorite moment from being part of the show.
Oh, boy, that really is tough for me because I was very pleased, very happy with all the cast, and everyone here, and even the ones who couldn't make it here today. There's really nobody who disappointed me as an actor. I was very happy with how everybody did their roles, and also the work ethic and attitude was very positive. Helped to create a nice atmosphere, helped to mitigate a bit against the stress of the situation. My stress, I don't know what stress others might have felt, but I had a lot of stress because it's my project, it's my money. I was bankrolling this whole thing, first season and second season, so I had a lot riding on it, and there were all kinds of things that were problems, little or smaller, smaller and larger problems cropping up with production. And I can talk forever about that. I don't want to bore people with all these stories, but just things that don't go right with equipment rentals and locations, and crew members too. We had some problems with people who weren't last minute vanished and or could not do it for one reason or another. Okay. And there's various problems like that and things going wrong as we were shooting it. But that's the stuff that I had to deal with because I didn't want to involve the actors with those kind of problems. But it was on my mind a lot, and time pressure is getting behind schedule. It was a very tight shoot. I was trying to do it as quickly as possible because time is money. It's all my money. So I would have loved to have more time, more days for each of the seasons to be more leisurely about it, but I didn't have that luxury. So I had to make the best out of a difficult situation. And thanks to my cast here, in large part thanks to them, it went as well as can be expected, better than I expected it would be. And to the point where after editing, post-production and all that, I'm really quite pleased with the results.
That's really good to hear. Yeah, so from every actor who's here, could you say one favorite moment from the season that you were part of?
Well, Jonathan mentioned the location shots, and that day that we were in Flushing Meadow Park was just so, everything about it was exquisite. It was the perfect, absolutely perfect day. We had plenty of room to spread out and, not breathe on each other. And it was just, compared to where we had been all of those months of being locked up and everything, it just felt so liberating and so wonderful. And it just really, it didn't even feel like a long day. It just felt like, oh, I could be here another 10 hours. It's just so glorious out here. We got lucky.
Yeah,
We did.
that was a beautiful day.
Mark.
Yeah, I have one. Actually, my favorite moment is the blooper. And it's a funny one because when you're acting and you're doing this, whether it's on screen or on the stage, and something goes awry, a mistake is made, there's a vibration among the group as to whether or not we should actually stop. Is it something that we can actually accept and keep going? Because Jonathan mentioned the tight shoot, and maybe this is something we can keep, but even though we know it didn't go quite so perfectly. So there was a young man named Jonathan, Hassan Farrow played Rabbi Lustig, and he had a line where he said that he became Jewish so people wouldn't know that he was black, and he's an African American, and that's the joke. And the blooper was that he got the line backwards, that I became black so nobody would know I was Jewish. But that's not the funny part. The funny part is that the vibration between all of us was like, should we keep going? I don't think we can keep that. That's not going to work. So we all stopped and laughed, and it was an interesting kind of acting moment because everyone shared the vibration of, was that a mistake that we can accept and keep going? And just, let's just stop and get it right.
Yeah, that's that was a high point in the shoot. Now that you remind me about that, and it's on the blooper reel. I have a compilation of bloopers that I put together that you can see on our YouTube channel. And I don't know if you've all seen it or not, but it's fun to watch. Adam, you'll probably get a kick out of that. I think anyone would, because bloopers like that. But that's probably my favorite blooper also. That was really just took everybody by surprise in just the right way. So it was.
Yeah, it was really refreshing. It was like a bucket of cold water on everything. Let's just let everybody breathe and get back into the rhythm of things.
Yeah. In fact, that's the last blooper I remember now in my edit of the bloopers from the shoot. I ended with that one. So in the compilation.
Yep.
Christopher, what's one of your favorite moments on the show?
So when you said that, I spent hours sewing a rip-away bouncer outfit. And underneath I had a pink bikini on. And I wanted to, I thought of that one, but I said, no, I said it had to be me coming out of the closet with a princess dress and Jessica Rabbi with thigh-high boots, thigh-high nylons, some of my old biker wear, chains, and like Robert, she made it so easy for me to do my lines. I was very impressed. And I mean, you don't know me that well, but I wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. I'm sometimes I get in trouble for telling the truth when asked questions, but she really made it easy. I had to, Mistress Jessica, and she's like, yeah, go dance around the room. Not a problem. Made it so easy. And as far as, Jonathan and the ventriloquist act, I really never, I think of him as two people when I was doing the shoot. He's so good. It's amazing.
I've seen it, yeah.
Amazing.
Mark,
thank you. I appreciate
it. Mark, what's your favorite moment from this season that you're part of? Can you hear me?
I covered mine. Mine was the
blooper.
bloopers.
Sorry. Robert, sorry. We'll go Robert.
Oh wow, that's a very good question. I think one of my favorite moments of the show is just being able to be in the moment itself. And what I mean by that is, given the style of the humor and how out there the characters and the style and the storyline is, it made room for improvisation. Like I felt like as a performer, one of the things I like, and this is why I love comedy in general, is because while you have the dialogue and you have to stick to it, of course, because you got to respect the writer,
Yeah.
but at the same time, when you have something that's so out there, it's so quirky and oddball as this, you get to play with it too. Like you get to emphasize things, and you get to even like exaggerate things even more, given the style of the humor and how you could just play with more. Like it just came across as very, very like commedia dell'arte for me at some point.
Yeah.
Like that old Italian style improvisation where characters are drawn out and everything. And I think that just kind of like added to the comfort. Like it just made me feel like I had a sense of ownership to the character that I was playing. And I'm sure everybody else must have felt that way because, lots of times when you're doing just straight up drama, it's very dry and you kind of have to stick to like one mode of thinking. But here, no, it was just like, I just felt like with every take, I was always playing and I was always trying something. And the fact that I was getting encouragement from Jonathan and the other people as well just made it even more fulfilling and gave me much more confidence. And I saw that in everybody else. And that just made me feel like I was part of a team. I was part of something more than just being part of a show. This was like a happening, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally get you. That's really cool.
Yeah, and that's something I noticed in everybody in the auditions, that everybody was good at improvising, ad-libbing, and that's one of the things I was looking for too. I knew there wouldn't be much room for it because of the time restraints, but I wanted to know that people had that ability, because then even if they're just sticking to the lines, it gives a sort of a freedom, just the fact that I know they're able to improvise it, that even the way they do the lines would be something refreshing, something that I didn't even think of they might add to it, so and that's exactly what happened. Even though I would have loved to have time for more takes of everything and let everybody really improvise more, but we had very little, know that we had very little of that, very little time for that, so there wasn't much of that. But even in the way the lines were delivered, there's an improvisatory feel, which was important to me, and everybody was great at that.
Awesome. So, Dave, do you want to go next and say what your favorite?
Yeah, sure. Really, I'm having a really tough time thinking of one specific thing. This is more general, but it's just the way that the dynamic that each, and this goes back to what people have said about just being able to play and just being so free and willing to just accept anything that is created, and it's just the dynamic really between each character. And obviously Trillo and Suede is at the precipice of it, but Trillo and Suede, they encounter every character because they're the title character.
Yeah. But
the dynamic that the other characters have with one another, and again, going back to people have mentioned improv, but just having that just uncanny ability to play and create on the fly. And again, goes back to improv, ad-libbing, whatever you want to call it, just being that free and open. It really just created such a cool dynamic. And again, Jonathan said this, and this is the one thing that I'm a fan, because I'm a fan of acting, and the genre, but just the fact that these are like, the episodes are so quick, 10, 12 minutes out of your day, it's just like boom, and you got to keep up. It's that type of snappy, snippety humor. It's not the dry humor that someone mentioned, and again, it's just when you stop and think you know, you're like, oh, wait a minute, that was really funny. Oh, wait a minute, I'm losing it because you're thinking about a joke, but you know, Trillo and Suede are already 5 steps ahead of you. It's great. Yeah, I could go on and on. Sorry.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool to hear. Nice. So Gregory, next, would you like to go?
Yeah, I'm gonna parrot a lot of what everyone said already.
Okay.
The ridiculousness of the writing, the like beautiful ridiculousness of the writing, the vaudeville silliness of it taken deadly seriously, and the opportunity to scream like a psychopath at a ventriloquist dummy and play it as it's happening. This is actually something that's happening in this insane universe.
Yeah.
Trillo and Suede and everyone else live in. And the fact that all of this is happening and the production values are gorgeous, like almost ridiculously beautiful, and having that framework. I can't remember the name of your actress who did the opera singing, but to see her actually belt out professionally and then break into a scream because a murder happened, and like that moment was like so beautifully ridiculous because she took it absolutely seriously and was hysterical. And likewise, having Katarina Schmidt, who's not here with us today, we have a scene where I'm supposed to be threatening her, and while they were setting up another shoot, she just started like throwing the words at me in slightly different order. Like she was testing and playing. Oh, we're doing this now. And we just started zipping it back and forth, and it was our own little insane universe while the rest of it was happening. And just
nice.
yeah, it was
awesome.
Yes, Emily Solo is the opera singer, and I remember that when we were shooting that scene that you're referring to with Katerina, and I saw how you guys ad-libbed a bit, and I was thinking to myself, oh, I'd love to play with this more and see what else you can come up with. But we didn't have much time for it. But just the fact that you had that chemistry between you added a lot to the little bit of interactions that you had. It really brought it to life a lot.
Yeah, you gave us so much. I'm sorry for going on again, but I'm thinking of like when we did the entrance, Robert and I, like overnight getting it just right and getting the steps right. And it was like we had this little dynamic of him being my mob toady, and it was just so much. Like, to me, I don't love broad humor that's done too broadly when people are just like not just throwing it around. But the fact that we're doing this, we're actually doing this ridiculousness for real.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's clear from listening to all of your experiences, just reinforces what I knew already, that you all were just right for your roles and to participate in general in this, because that's what I was looking for in the auditioning, that actors who get it, who understand. I don't have to do too much explaining about what's going on and what I'm going for. You all seem to sense it right away and understand it right away, and that was very important, because I don't think everybody would appreciate or does appreciate this kind of humor. And also I'm doing something which is quite unique also. It's not like I didn't invent humor or even the general genre, but this ventriloquist and his dummy as detectives in a film noirish universe, which is an alternate universe combined with modern anachronisms and all that stuff going on at once. That I think really is pretty unique. And I needed actors who could step into that world right away and appreciate and feel that sensibility that I'm going for, and the absurdist humor. And part of it, one of you mentioned, forget who, is important. It was important. It is important about the fact that I needed actors who could play it straight, like play it for real, but also with the quirkiness of their characters coming through, but not going for the laughs, not like, quote, trying to be funny, letting the material, my scripts, as well as the absurdity of the whole universe there, and the quirkiness of their characters, let that all create the humor, but without like being jokey, that kind of thing. But I didn't really have to. I thought maybe I'd have to spend more time sort of explaining. But everybody understood right away.
That's awesome. So I want to throw out to the group, anyone can answer this. What's something you'd like to see in season 3 going forward from your characters or in the story in general?
I have no idea because I'm not a writer.
Learn how to operate a boom mic.
I think I'd like to see Suede perhaps be a bit more vulnerable, because he's always so tough and confident and wisecracky. It might be interesting to see him, again, because he's so interested in women, perhaps have a little hesitation or confusion, maybe even something to do with gender.
Hey, you never know. It's 2021. Anything goes.
Maybe like another puppet creature that isn't binary.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay, I'm going to make notes. I'm going to be
I
watching
would actually
back.
defer to one of Jonathan's other passions that he's spoken about, which is the Marx Brothers. And, you can't go wrong when you pay homage to the Marx Brothers. And whether you do an episode that's maybe a Duck Soup or a Night at the Opera, or if you could really, from Jonathan's perspective, take what it is if you could go back in time and create an actual Marx Brothers film or production using the Marx Brothers, and you've been doing that now, I would love to see a full-on Marx Brothers homage, paying tribute to the greatness that was their comedy.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Nice.
One thing that crossed my mind was, and I know this is going to sound really bizarre and out there, but I think would be kind of fun, is that if you had like more sort of like musical interludes, like moments where like if people just broke out into song together, and they don't have to be like real actual singers. Like I think part of the comedy would be that the fact that they can't really sing, but like, the fact of the matter is that the songs themselves, whatever it is, like that could be one idea, you know what I mean? Like, just like something like a special like ode to like, I don't know, like Broadway or something like that.
Musical, a Trillo and Suede musical.
Yeah. Like I said, just like, I mean, like the musical buffs out there and kind of like include them maybe. I don't know.
Well, it's an idea. It reminds me of a Woody Allen movie that I didn't see. I heard about it, never saw it. I don't know the name of it. Do you know what I'm referring to? He did a musical maybe a decade ago or something.
Oh, Everyone Says I Love You.
Oh yeah. Do you see that? Anybody see that?
Yeah.
So was it kind of like that? Was it how they play it? How did he play it? Was it from what I read about it? I think it was like the actors who couldn't sing well. Right?
Yeah,
they were playing it straight, like they were really trying to do it or something. Was it like that?
Yeah.
Did
they
it
were
work?
giving it their all.
Yeah. Do you think that worked?
I think it did. I think the bravado really just carried it. Their sincerity.
Yeah. Well, it's an idea.
Dolls and dolls. I would love to see how Trillo and Suede became partners. Like maybe they met during the war. Maybe they were in the same foxhole and Suede saved Trillo's life for the brigade.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
So Adam, when you asked that question, and I seem to have an opinion on everything, but nothing came to mind. I was like, whatever Jonathan is going to come up with, and I love the ideas. And I also want you to know that this is the only comedy thing I've ever done. I play villains, bikers, thugs. This is the only comedy that I've ever done. I loved doing it. People that know me think that I have good, spontaneity and whatever. But no, so actually nothing came to mind, but I can't wait to see what he comes up with next.
Nice. So, Christy, you said on that note, it was your first comedy. So what attracted you to the role?
Well, I remember reading the script, and it said that you're kind of a a thug bouncer thief type. So that's the first thing. I mean, if I see on Actors Access, a handsome socialite, up class, delete, forget that. That's just not me. But dumb with a sensitive side, and I can play dumb, and sometimes depending on the situation, I'm very dumb. But I do have that, sensitive thug side dynamic. So I gave that a shot for that reason. Not that I would, not bid on a comedy. I just, again, it's Russian villain, thug, biker villain, psychopath type of roles that I do most.
Okay, cool, nice. So how did the rest of you come across the role that you got? Start with Josephine.
I'm sorry, I had a hard time hearing you just now.
How did you come across the role?
Oh, backstage. I answered an ad in backstage.
Right.
And there was, I think, 2 auditions, if I remember correctly.
Right.
And I remember studying really, really hard to try to get the accent right, because it's a totally different world from mine. However, I live in a neighborhood where there are lots of Hasidic people. And so I had the physicality of it. I felt that came easy.
Yeah.
It was the accent, and Jonathan helped me so much with the Yiddish words that I kept screwing up, but he was very patient and helpful with all of that.
That's really good.
We had a different, Mrs. Lustig, her character, we had a different one in season 1, and she was lined up to continue at season 2. I was pleased with her in her role, but it was kind of last minute. There was some issues about that she might not be available. So then I did put out the casting call as backup. So first, I don't know if you know this, Josephine, at first when the casting call, it was only as a backup because I wasn't confident that she'd be available. So I want to have someone, I had this suspicion, a sneaking suspicion that she might just back out at the last minute. And that's exactly what happened. So, I auditioned for prospective Mrs. Lustig's in case that happened. And it did happen. So meanwhile, you were the top of my list as a replacement. And, whenever it was, I don't remember when I notified, but it was shortly before the shoot, wasn't it? A few days before or something.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. So I was very relieved that you were available and very happy that you took over the role. And the accent, the Yiddish accent was the only thing, the pronunciation of the words that I knew you'd need a little help with, but I still wanted you to do it because you were the best overall of the ones that I interviewed. I auditioned a couple of women who were Jewish and had a good Yiddish accent too, but they didn't. In other ways, they didn't play it as well as you did. So I decided I'll go with you, give you a little coaching on the Yiddish, and it worked out.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
How about yourself, Joe? How did you come across the role?
I have to say, again, answering the ad and backstage, prepping for the initial audition was fun for 2 reasons. And that one of my dearest friends to this day since college, my friend Evans Kotsis, we're one of the relatively too few people who were able to make a transition and stay in the TV or radio industry since we were taking classes. He's actually a very accomplished camera person. And as I mentioned a bit earlier, he was one of John Edwards's, the real life TV psychic on whom John Elwood is based.
Okay.
He was one of his camera people for many, many years. And John Edward actually did an actual surprise reading on him during an episode. And it wound up really changing his life and getting a lot of, helping him cope with a number of situations he was dealing with. So it was kind of cool just for me to be able to prep for the John Elwood role, to be able to call upon a lifelong friend in my adult life and be able to say, hey, tell me everything about John Edward. Trust me, no quirk is too small. I've got to nail this guy. And, long after college ended, to be able to collaborate with a college buddy on something regarding TV and video production was just super cool to do. And I was really appreciative to Jonathan also for the opportunity to improv during the audition so that I could do a riff on kosher delis and all the quirks about them that I would hope set me aside from the rest of the audition years. So.
Yeah, that was one thing that set you aside. The improv was great. As I mentioned, I would have loved to actually have more time to improv when we were shooting, but we were just behind the 8 ball with schedule. We were already behind schedule then, and no time for that really. But I knew that you could do it, and I mean, if we had the time, and as I also mentioned, just the fact that you were able to improv in character gave a lot to the role. Even though we stuck to the script, we really stuck to the script when we shot it, but you had that improvisatory, real quality. It made it seem all the more real because it bleeds into the actual reading of lines when you don't really have to stick to lines, that kind of thing.
Well, as Rabbi Shmutzik Pupik would say, Toda Rabah, Jonathan. That's thank you very much in Hebrew.
You're welcome. And then Joe wound up being cast also as Bishop the Bouncer in the Last Exit nightclub. That was I don't know if I ever told you this either. That was a last minute thing because we had someone else lined up. Kat, the director, had a friend who was going to play that. I didn't even know who it was, but she's close to shooting, but she then she had this guy lined up for it. So, don't worry, he'll be great for the role, or whatever. And then it got very close to I think we actually started to shoot. I don't remember when we finally contacted you, but it was not much lead time. And then she told me one day, oh, this guy can't make it, whoever is it. So that we didn't even cast for anybody. So then I was thinking of something you had told me. You had asked me when you auditioned. I don't know if it was at the first or second audition or an email correspondence. You said, hey, you ever cast someone for more than one role? And then I was thinking, something, you could play both. You'd be great for that. So we just said, okay, hey, I'm giving you this role too. And you were great for it.
That was a fun scene from a production point of view. To see you turn a synagogue into a nightclub was pretty trippy. That was some great production. That was a great aspect of production.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yep.
So, Mark, would you like to say how you got into Jonathan's show?
Well, it was the same thing. I don't remember which of the wanted websites I even went through, but it was the same kind of process. Oler already told my story about the initial audition, so that was what it was, but it's still pretty special. Yeah, and as I think it was Gregory mentioned earlier on, once I did get the feel that I was actually being seriously considered, I took the time to watch through all of season 1, and I said, yeah, I got to be a part of this. It cannot happen.
Awesome. So, Jonathan, how did you go about, what was it like working with all these cast members?
Well, they were all great to work with, which made the whole thing doable because of the various stresses and pressures that I was feeling getting the shoot done. So if that wasn't the case, I don't know how I could have done it if the actors weren't as good as they all were. So that's something that was a great relief. Season 1, we had different actors mostly, but there are a couple of carryovers. And then we had season 2. Now, going into season 3, people have alluded to this. First of all, it's going to most likely be an abbreviated season, and it's not 100% that we're actually going to be able to do it because the first 2 seasons I self-funded because it was my bucket list, top of the bucket list of what I wanted to do in my career that I wasn't able. For 2 decades, I've been trying to find ways to produce versions of Trillo and Suede, feature films that I wrote, 5 of them in total, feature films of with Trillo and Suede, and lots of stories I could go into about how I almost got things produced, it seems, a number of times, and the deals always fell through, or producers disappeared or whatever. So it never happened. So it was a great disappointment to me. TV shows too. There are times it seemed I was close to getting a deal with a couple of different places, TV studios. The very first one was Sky TV in England, in the UK. Oh, I mentioned that in our other interview,
So,
Adam, right? Sky TV. Yeah, they were one of my first rejections back in the year 2000. I remember the person in charge of development at Sky TV wrote me a letter, an email saying that it was, that how much she loved my submission, the script for this. And I submitted my first feature film, in this case, as made for TV movie or first episode in like a double episode in a series. And she said she loved it and it was great, etc., but it doesn't quite fit what they're looking for or whatever. So it was a very nice rejection. But anyway, that's one of what turned out to be many such disappointments along the way. So eventually, fast forward to 2019 is when I decided that I'm going to do my own web series. I figured I was thinking of doing one of the feature films, but how much money it would take. The web series at least wouldn't cost as much as a feature film, even low budget. So I figured that's what I'll do. I did season 1. And the critical success very quickly was really great. I submitted it to film festivals around the world and started winning a lot of them. Nice. And so I was encouraged, even though it was a difficult slog and still is to get to build up the fan base. But still, since so many people seem to deem it worthy of awards, and the small numbers of fans that were gathering to my YouTube channel, a lot of them were very enthusiastic, and also to my Facebook group when I created that a little later. So it made me decide, okay, I'm going to fund another one, dig into my own pockets and do a season 2. Hopefully that's going to lead to something. So here we are, and it has not led to the kind of notoriety that I would have hoped for, especially after winning so many contests. So that is a disappointment at the moment. But since I have so much critical acclaim and I have a small core of very enthusiastic fans, so I still believe that there is a lot of potential for this to go a lot further. So that's why I really want to do season 3. But I've reached the end of my self-funding. So this will not happen unless I get it funded. And the only way that I can see right now in the near future is crowdfunding. And that's why just today, by coincidence, I launched a crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo. And this will only be for an abbreviated season, a half season really, 5 episodes rather than 10, because I was thinking what I would need for a full 10 episode season 3, based on what it cost me for season 2, is about $35,000, and that's on a very tight budget because I aim for good production value, and I think I did. Especially season 2 had really good production value for this type of thing, and so that isn't really cheap, So that's why $35,000 is a very tight budget to do that, and I don't have the confidence that crowdfunding will get me that, based on the size of my fan base right now. And so I decided I'll set the goal. You have to set some sort of goal. And so my goal is $18,000. And that would be for the purpose of shooting the 5 episodes. So that's what I'm hoping for. Built into it and in my explanation about on the crowdfunding campaign is that if we exceed our budget, that's great. And then I could do maybe more episodes. Yeah. If we go way over budget, maybe I could do the whole 10, but I'm not counting on that. If we fall short, it depends how far we fall short. I might just do 1 or 2 episodes and then keep looking for funding to complete or continue with season 3. Or if it's really falls far short, maybe instead of season 3, it will just be a short. And basically, it might just be episode 1 that I shoot, and just I won't even call it a season, a part of a season. Just it'll be a short, so I'll get something out there. But I'll use whatever money I can fundraise here with this campaign to do something, and it's shooting in June. So I would love to bring back all our cast from season 2 into season 3, but right now it's very up in the air. First of all, whether we will have a season 3, and second, if we do, how many episodes, how many of all of these characters I can get into it. So I will do my best to bring everybody back if possible.
Awesome. So obviously you said season 3 might not go ahead, but how far would you like to go with Trillo and Suede? If money goes well, if you can do everything.
Yeah, well, I'd like this to continue, the web series, indefinitely, to continue doing seasons of Trillo and Suede, if nothing else. But I have to see an ongoing way that can be funded. Hopefully the YouTube channel can get monetized before too long. I'm not at the level where I can monetize it yet. But if I can do that and sell merchandise, that it would have to pick up a lot, be able to sell a lot, be able to sell a lot of merchandise. But I'm hoping it will grow, exponentially before too long, and I will have a source of funding through that to continue. But also, I would love to have a bigger series on one of the networks, the Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, or any other network, HBO. Yeah, I'll settle for Showtime, whatever. So I'd love to have a series, but that also, I don't know how I can do that at this point because they're not approachable. Those all those channel stations, unless you have an agent who's in the business already. It's a catch-22. I have not been able to find an agent to represent me who's in that circle, who has access to pitch projects to any of those big places. So right now that can't be done. I was hoping that after winning so many contests, they would notice me. That hasn't happened yet. One problem with that is that I haven't been able to enter the biggest of the contests. I've entered and won a lot of small and mid-sized contests because the most famous ones, the ones where that is more likely to happen, that people will come searching for me and asking me, those have requirements I didn't even realize at the time, that it always has to be a world premiere. And so I tried to submit to Sundance, the Cannes Festival, what else, Tribeca, a couple other ones that are big, but all of them have that same policy, as I found out afterwards, that they just rejected it. We don't accept your submission because your web series is on the web. I said, well, isn't that where web series is supposed to be, on the web? It's like, yeah, but no, not for, their rules are that whatever you're submitting, feature film, short film, web series, that you have to have withheld it from the public. And they make it, just wait and see if you win their contest so that they could announce it's a world premiere. So that's finished. I can't do it anymore. Can't submit to any of those big festivals.
That's a shame, that.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask one last thing. So what's one thing all of you took away from being on this show?
I was glad to know that after a lifetime of being raised by a family who taught you enough Yiddish to pick up on phrases, but didn't teach you all of Yiddish so they could talk about you behind your back without actually leaving the room. Like, I don't know if any other tribe members have experienced that, but that was my childhood journey. To be able to use the Yiddish that they privied me to on a project that, hey, man, that was definitely a good use of time after all. So it was cool to meet Jonathan, and that a very like-minded individual who was raised probably with a very comparable background to myself, and in terms of the humor and the culture and how they can use and firm along with the TV production as well. So that was fun. It definitely stood out from any other project I've ever been a part of.
Cool, nice.
I hadn't acted in a couple of years, and when I did, I had played Hitler 6 different times. Not through any life course I was following, but the Travel Channel played him comedically in a feature film, in a musical theater piece. and then hadn't acted for a long time. I was producing cabaret shows and doing characters in those. And then when the pandemic hit, cabaret obviously not happening. And so I thought, I wonder what's going on online. I wonder if acting is happening again, and found this role posted and was like, you know, this could also kind of maybe smooth over the karma a little bit. And yeah. So first serious acting in a couple of years in film.
Nice.
Mark. I've lived in Pennsylvania for 25 years, but I'm a Long Island kid, and I'm always thrilled to be a part of a project where New York is one of the characters of the overall scheme of things, and Trillo and Suede is a New York thing, and I was really happy to be a part of it for that reason, among many others. But that's one thing I took away.
Awesome. That's really cool to hear. Dave?
Yeah, I think one of the highest compliments you can get as an actor, or whatever road you choose in this industry, when you get invited back for a second season, that just speaks volumes. And I can't sing Jonathan's praises enough. Just like, again, we've talked about the writing, his eye for, casting the right people. But just his relentlessness with getting this thing, out there. I can't thank him enough, because I'm a word of mouth guy. I really need to get better at social media, but I think I'm just a shade just too old to be considered a millennial. But anyway, I try to tell as many people, just bring this up, and sometimes I'll watch it with them. Other times I'll just get messages like, that was some real high quality stuff. You should be proud, and everyone else should be. And I just want to extend those words to everyone involved, obviously here, and those of us that couldn't make it. But it's just it's been such a cool journey in every sense of the word. And again, this is why I want to do this full time. It's just, me personally, I don't get as much out of any other job that I've done, the way all of the things that you really do get and receive in that vein from acting, and especially being a part of a project like this.
Awesome. That's really cool to hear. Nice.
Who else? Josephine.
Yeah. So what I am going to take forward from this experience is to not limit myself, because I almost didn't audition thinking that I'm not a Hasidic lady and I'm not going to be able to get all of the nuances and be true to the character. And that's just that, that inner critic that is telling you what you can't do all the time. But Jonathan and Kat really always gave me the sense that I could do it and that I was good to do it, good for it. And that really just gave me so much courage, which is so, I think every actor really needs courage, external courage, because we try to boost ourselves up, but boy, without the applause or without the feedback from other folks, it's just very, very hard to put yourself out there. So yeah, my big takeaway from this experience is to have courage and try things that are challenging, because what's the worst that can happen,
Exactly.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off of what Josephine just said. For me, it was just that anything is possible and not to give up, because during the time, I remember when I had applied for the breakdown and for the role, I remember thinking to myself, because this was all obviously during COVID and all that. So between COVID and the lockdown, and just kind of like being sort of like in a place in my life or career, if you will, where everything was just so uncertain, I think the fact that I was persistent enough, and that I got cast, and was part of something that was so special and so professional, and just way beyond anything that I've ever been a part of them before, just kind of reassured that basically that I made the right decision by just going with my instincts and just kind of like, following through and applying and believing in myself. And I say that because every actor or anybody who's considers themselves an entertainer or a dreamer, if you will, if you have a dream, just pursue it at all costs. Like, granted, we're always going to get doubts, and we're always going to be down on ourselves, and we're going to get moments where we're just going to be like, well, maybe I don't know if this is for me or not, or whatever the case is. But if you have an instinct, if you have a drive in you, just keep going for it, because you never know where it's going to take you. And the fact that I just kind of kept at it despite all the no's along the way, the rejections and all that. I still managed to be part of a wonderful family and part of something that's multi-award winning, and that my friends and everybody else are proud of. And so basically this is just like reassures me, and should reassure anybody else, that when you have something and you want to go for it, just go for it 110%. Don't ever doubt yourself.
Nice. Really cool. Good to hear. I don't know. Is it Christopher? Have we asked you?
Yeah, Chris. Okay. Christopher. Yeah, I'll answer almost anything. Goose is fine. So it's a very different production in the sense that you watch TV and you watch movies and you go, okay, yep, that's a scene from Indiana Jones. That's a Mad Max thing. It's all been done before. And this particular genre and the way that it's set up, it was very, very, I really think it's unique. I don't see this, as much. But one of the things I'm taking away from it is, the group dynamics was so positive. And as a psychologist, I've run therapy groups and social skills with kids and whatnot. But it was just a very rare combination of, professional. Everybody was so good. I was kind of surprised. I knew they would be, but I was actually impressed. And I've been on other productions, and it was very positive. People were flexible. They were professional. They were good at their craft. And everybody was very cooperative, no complaints. And, that's a top-down approach. So, certainly a credit to Jonathan. And I also want to mention that Zoe Sabrina was awesome to work with as well.
That's for those who don't. I think you all know that Zoe was played by my daughter Sabrina, right? I think you all know that. I don't know if Adam knows that, but
I didn't know that. No, that's really cool.
That's Zoe.
She was great.
Yes.
Yes.
Beyond her years, still.
Yeah.
Yes.
So very much so. She was very much an extension.
And very supportive of all of us, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
The whole bit.
Yeah,
Yep.
she's a budding filmmaker in her own right. She's a very talented filmmaker. So I think you'll all be hearing about Sabrina someday for bigger things.
Yep.
Awesome. Have I asked everyone?
Good.
Oh, Joe. Okay.
No. That was a thumbs up. Yeah,
sorry,
we're covered. We're covered. I batted lead off.
Mark, did I ask you? No.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I think I've asked everyone. So yeah.
Adam, what about you? What did you like most, or what struck you most about what you've seen of it?
Most of what everyone said. I love the dynamics between Trillo and Suede. The sets were amazing. All the chemistry on set, I think it's all done perfectly well. And as people said, it's very unique in its own way. And yeah, I think Jonathan's done a very spectacular job with the series, and I hope season 3 goes ahead. So,
Thank you.
no, Jonathan, you're doing a great job, and you're all amazing people, and it's been amazing to hear your stories about the series. So, thank you for sharing that with me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Adam.
Oh, thank you.
A real treat. Thank you.
Yeah, nice to see everybody again. Hope we
Yeah.
can all be together
All good
soon again.
things.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Okay.
See you later.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye now.